Hey everybody, it's Two Sisters Writing and Publishing, and we're so excited to talk with you. I'm Elizabeth Ann Atkins and Catherine M. Greenspan, my sister and business partner. We're on today to talk to you about how you wrote your book and now what should you do? You wrote your book and you're probably asking, now what? How do I publish this book? So we're here to answer all your questions about publishing, about writing, about the industry that has changed so dramatically, and about how we hopefully can help you. We're also making a really exciting announcement about a new series that we're publishing that you could participate in to showcase your amazing story to the whole world. So let's get started by doing an overview of how our company operates in terms of offering services for writing and publishing. Catherine and I started in 2016 in February. We started Two Sisters Writing and Publishing because we've both written many books, and I've been published with New York publishers, and it's amazing. But we really wanted to take the power into our own hands to write and publish what we wanted. Not only the books that we write ourselves that are novels and nonfiction, but also books that other people write and are having a difficult time approaching the New York publishers, the Big Five as they're called, or getting a literary agent, or trying to navigate the very confusing world of self-publishing. So we created a company that enables us to showcase amazing, inspiring stories. And Catherine, I just want to show a few of the books that we've published, 12 books so far, and we have 12 more coming out very soon. So one of them was the memoir of the former Detroit mayor of Detroit and the former president of the American Bar Association, Dennis Archer. This is an amazingly inspiring book, and you can see the super high quality and beautiful cover. We published our mother's book. She wrote this herself, The Triumph of Rosemary. She wrote it herself, and we published it. And then my sister Catherine's three young adult novels, Race Home Veronica, Veronica, I Heard Your Mom is Black, and Veronica Talks to Boys, and they're just super pretty and beautiful. And so we do books of every size you can imagine. And then Clear, this was the very first book we published by physician Herman Williams, who dropped dead 27 years ago and lived to tell about it and write this super inspiring book. He just recently spoke at the Harvard School of Public Health, and Mayor Archer is speaking at Harvard this Friday. So writing a book really takes you places. Most recently, we published Remembering and Forgetting by Lynn Day, who says that hypnotherapy saved her life. And it's a thin book, but it packs a powerful punch about her life-saving experience with Dr. Kim Manning, a hypnotherapist who wrote the foreword for the book. And then another one we did, and I'm just showing you this to show the super high quality of the publishing that we create. It's Steve Bullock. He's the former president of the American Red Cross. He was a sharecropper's son in North Carolina during segregation, and he used education, faith, hard work, and his family as the four pillars to rise and make a positive contribution as a global humanitarian. So as you can see, we specialize in inspiring books, and that's our message. So Catherine, would you like to talk about the publishing process and how that works?
Sure. So the publishing world has changed a lot recently. So we're able to use the print on demand technology, which means in the old days, if you didn't get a literary agent and spend years having them try and get some attention to your book from big publishers, what you had to do was self-publish using a vanity press, which is basically spending a lot of money to have maybe 10,000 copies of your book printed, and then you fill your garage, your basement, your trunk with your books and try and sell them to anyone you meet. In fact, John Grisham, the legend goes that he was originally selling his first books out of his trunk. So that can lead somewhere, but more often than not, you've got a big a big debt to pay off with the printing of the books. So what happened when print on demand came around, that eliminated the need to print 10,000 copies of your book and try and sell them on the street corner. So print on demand means basically that every time a book is purchased, whether it's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, any of the electronic retailers, and there are tens of thousands of them around the world, and we're connected with all of them. The book is purchased and it's printed and shipped right away. So there's no inventory to maintain. So that takes off a giant financial overhead getting books printed up. And we use the Ingram Spark print on demand platform, and it's worked out fantastically.
So when someone publishes with us, and you can read all the details of the packages that we offer for publishing on our website, AtkinsGreenspan.com, AtkinsGreenspan.com. It's Elizabeth Atkins and Catherine Greenspan, so AtkinsGreenspan.com. And that website has our services page, which describes what we offer for publishing and the pricing. So when we publish a book, you provide a manuscript to us, and we are a one-stop shop for everything required in the publishing process. There are a lot of minutiae, the details that are difficult and challenging that we've mastered and made it a streamlined process to make it very efficient, such as getting an ISBN, an International Standard book number, which is like a social security number for your book, essentially, that goes along with the barcode, which also has to be obtained and paid for. We have a graphic designer that does the book cover for hardcover, paperback, and ebook. And as you can see, they're really beautiful, designed, colorful, high quality. We write the jacket flap text and the back content, the back cover content, and then there's the back flap text. So there's a lot to it, and in order to upload the manuscript and book cover, they have to be formatted to specifications for Ingram Spark, or it will be rejected. It has to be formatted in a very meticulous manner that our graphic designer can do. And so these are all tasks that if you attempted to do individually, there's a huge learning curve, lots of mistakes, time, money wasted. And that's why we provide this service that makes it fast and easy for you. Typically, it's about a 90-day process, but sometimes delays occur if photograph permissions have to be obtained. We're waiting for someone to write a foreword for the book, and other things like that. But we provide the service of proofing the book, we insert the photographs, we write the captions for you, we help in the process of obtaining permissions that are required. For example, if you're going to use an excerpt from a TV show or lyrics from a song, permissions have to abide by copyright laws, which are very important. So Catherine and I go through meticulously to make certain that all of that is covered. And then it's very, very exciting when we receive the first proof of the book and that we send to the client, you hopefully, and you can review and see your book formatted and ready to print, and then you receive a physical proof, which is really exciting because there's your book. It went from an idea in your head to this physical book in your hand, and that's, oh my gosh, the exhilaration that you feel when that occurs is just indescribable. So then the book gets uploaded to the global marketplace, Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and 39,000 retailers around the world that include libraries. And so, for example, when Mayor Archer's book came out in December of last year, we started getting emails from Japan in Japanese that showed his book and several of our other books for sale on this online retail site in Japan. We got similar ones from countries and continents all around the world, and that was really exciting. So your book truly does go on a global platform. And so we're able to do all kinds of analytics, and we have followers and fans and readers in places like Morocco, Brazil, all over Europe, all over South America,
Madagascar.
Madagascar. It's really exciting. So this is, if you have a powerful story to share, this is a way you can make it happen fast. And we always recommend that there's so many motivations for writing a book and publishing it, one of which is just to record your legacy. It's your life, and nobody can tell your story your way. If you're someone who's been in the news, the media has told your story. But how about telling your story your way, your total truth? What if you've overcome something horrific or traumatic? You survived it, and you have some wise words to share that could save someone's life or help other people live better. That's the message in Herman Williams' book, Clear, Living a Life You Didn't Dream of. Another thing is if you own a business, writing a book can brand you. It can be your calling card. It can show the world that you are an expert in your field and that you should be the go-to person for the media to interview on your subject. It will make you more celebrated among customers and clients. They'll see you more as the expert, and it preserves your spot. It elevates you in the realm of whatever business world you're in. So
Elizabeth, we have a couple of people watching. Hi, Charles. And if you're here, let us know if you have any questions. We would be so happy to answer your questions about publishing. That would be great. Just post them in the Facebook chat. Thanks.
yes, so Catherine, did I leave out anything about publishing?
No, you covered it all.
Okay. It's a really exciting process, and we feel very, very strongly that you have the power to tell your story and promote yourself with social media. You literally have a publicity machine in your hand, in your phone, on all your social media websites and apps. So it's never been easier for you to share a powerful message. Your book can also be a tool for creating a significant stream of income by creating a training program that goes along with your book, which you can incorporate into the content. So for example, if you say, for example, you cured yourself of cancer and by following certain energy healings and lifestyle changes like going vegan, whatever you did, if you write about it and then you create a course for other people to find peace and healing by following your steps under their own doctor's supervision, of course, but you could help a lot of people, but you could also be a teacher and generate income by having people enroll in your course. So a book becomes far more than that calling card or that chronicle of your story. It becomes a teaching tool, which is amazing. We're all teachers. We all have so much wisdom, and it's our moral obligation to share that wisdom with other people to help them. Not only help them, it could save someone's life. So Catherine, are you ready for us to announce our big new book series?
Yes, 2019 is all about the series.
So Catherine and I meet so many people who want to write a book. They have an amazing story that's super inspiring, but they don't have the resources to pay us to ghostwrite their book and publish it. So we are like, how can we help people? How can we really showcase these incredibly inspiring stories in a way that people can afford? So we came up with the idea of anthologies. And we actually published our first annual Two Sisters Writing and Publishing Anthology of International Writers. It's a compilation of all of our short story winners each month, and they're all over the world, and they have awesome stories. Catherine had the brilliant idea of creating a short story contest every month because, as an aspiring writer over many years, she would often submit stories to magazines and contests and receiving rejection letters, which is just a normal part of a writer's life, was devastating. Like, people can tell you you're gonna. It was
It wasn't
devastating to me.
devastating.
What?
It wasn't devastating. It was just frustrating. It was frustrating.
Oh, okay. Well, when I was having books shopped to New York and I got rejection letters from editors, it was devastating. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So you were just frustrated. I was devastated. Okay. So
Okay.
anyway, Catherine didn't want to feel frustrated, and I didn't want people to feel devastated. So she said, let's have a contest. So we started this contest, and we do it through this website called Submittables. So they're blind entries. We can't see the person's name who wrote the story. So we're truly judging the stories on the writing style, the content, the storytelling skills, and it's really delightful. So we published our first anthology. So that sort of inspired us to say, let's do a series of anthologies about particular topics. And so we're starting off with 4, and we have set up submittables.com for our first 4 anthologies. They're all inspirational stories, 5,000 words each. You pay a fee to submit and publish your story in the book. That's a fraction of what it would cost to hire us as your book coach, your ghostwriter, or your publisher independently. So this way, we're able to sort of bundle amazing stories in one anthology, one book, and present them sort of along the lines of Chicken Soup for the Soul. Remember that series where people submitted inspiring stories that make you feel good when you read them? It's kind of similar to that, but different because it's our creation, and the stories that we'll be collecting will all be of similar themes. So the first 4 anthologies that we're doing, and we're going to start taking submissions today. The first 4 topics are adoption stories, because we've met so many people who have amazing stories about adopting children from around the world and in the United States. It's just all about pure love, joy, healing, sacrifice, and really the meaning of life, which is love. And so adoption are the first ones. Then, Catherine, what are the other 3?
So, inspiring stories of adoption. The next one is inspiring stories of cancer survival. As Elizabeth mentioned, we've spoken with many people who've healed their own cancer using a unique approach. Doesn't have to be a unique approach, just cancer survival stories. The next one is inspiring stories of weight loss success. Elizabeth, do you want to talk a second about that one, and then we'll announce the fourth one?
Yes, thank you. So after I had my son, I lost 100 pounds, and I was on the Oprah Winfrey Show to celebrate that. And ever since, I've been extremely committed to a very healthy lifestyle in mind, body, and spirit. It's not about a trendy diet. It's about a lifestyle and a mindset. I just went to the gym this morning, did yoga, and meditated. And journaled. That's all part of my daily routine. So it's not just about how many calories did I eat today. It's about my lifestyle of wellness. And so I talk about that a lot. I write about that. It's really important because I'm a teacher. I'm an example that can be done. And I've had so many amazing moments that showcase the power of change. So years ago, when I would be stressed, my first thought was, oh my God, get me as much ice cream as my stomach will hold. I just wanted to binge on ice cream, get a sugar high, crash, feel that sugar comatose sedative feeling, and just numb out. Now, if I'm stressed, and I don't get stressed like I used to because of my lifestyle of peace and cultivating like an excellent chemical balance because of the foods that I eat and my lifestyle. But when I do get stressed, my first thought is I have to go running. I have to take a bike ride. I need to go to the gym and beat up a punching bag with my boxing gloves. I need to journal. I need to do yoga. I need to meditate. I have all these tools that I incorporate in my day so that I never go back to that horrific existence of binging on ice cream and having sugar highs and lows and just feeling horrible. And so I share that story to show other people who might be in the throes of that awful cycle and addiction to sugar, to show that you can change and feel amazing and feel better than ever as you get more and more birthdays.
So
So,
your inspiring story of weight loss success, the initial concept was the weight loss, but it really changed your life all those years ago, and you've been committed to that life. So that's really inspiring. And we know that there are tons of people out there who have similar transformations, and we would love to put together an anthology of those stories because the stories, the inspiring stories, help people, as Elizabeth just said, who are in the throes and not there yet. So it gives people hope.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And so
So
everybody's,
go ahead.
go ahead.
Oh, so the fourth anthology that we're going to start 2019 with is Inspiring Stories of Insight from Spiritual Healers and Hypnotherapists. And Elizabeth, do you want to tell the motivation for this concept?
Yes, so it's two-pronged motivation, but this book, Remembering and Forgetting by Lynn Day, with the foreword by Dr. Kim Manning, um, this taught us about hypnotherapy. I don't think we'd ever paid much attention to it before, but Lynn said she was pretty much near death before she got hypnotherapy, just a short while ago. She was depressed. She was on a walker or cane. She was overweight. She had survived cancer at one point. And so she got hypnotherapy with Dr. Manning, and it changed her life. It completely transformed her. And now when you meet her, she's like this wellspring of joy and happiness and faith. And it's so awesome to be around her. And so we started to look into hypnotherapy more, and there's so many stories about how this process is so powerful in helping people heal. And so we decided that we want to show those kinds of stories because, again, it gives people hope that whatever they're coping with, they can find a tool that will enable them to heal. And secondly, I'm deeply spiritual, and my spiritual memoir is coming out very soon. And so we want to showcase stories from spiritual healers. There's people who do Reiki, there's people who do soul retrieval, there's people who do shamanic journeying, and they have these incredible stories that to the mainstream might sound unusual, but because we're moving into more and more spiritual times and more people are awakening, it's not so extraordinary. It's becoming ordinary for people to be in touch with their spiritual power and the healing power of meditation and connecting with the divine. And so we're going to have an anthology with stories that showcase people who do that. It's amazing. So this is all about peace and love within yourself and within the world. And so that's what Catherine and I focus on as major themes of what we publish. We don't publish anything with violence or hatred or graphic content. We only focus on stories that uplift and inspire people, people who've overcome the odds. Because those, and if you think about it all through history, a major part of our lives has been storytelling. Before people had access to notebooks or computers, people had oral histories. They told stories by talking. And so now we have the power to put it in words in a book that will last forever. That is powerful. If you go to the library and you go to some of the collections of really old books and you touch a book that's like hundreds of years old, it's an amazing feeling, like someone wrote these words hundreds of years ago. So if I write some words today and publish it, someone hundreds of years from now could be reading what I wrote in 2018 or 2019. That's pretty remarkable. So, yeah. So Catherine, will you explain?
Another thing about these anthologies, if you're sitting there going, well, I have a great idea, but I'm not a writer, is that because we are ghostwriters and editors, we can help you. So if you have an amazing story that just fits perfectly in one of these anthologies, but you're not sure that you could pull off writing what we're looking for, we can always have a conversation about our other services, our ghostwriting services. And in fact, Elizabeth held up Steve Bullock's book. Elizabeth, do you want to tell everybody why Steve chose you to be his ghostwriter for his book?
Yeah. So Steve Bullock, the former president of the American Red Cross, he said that he selected me as his ghostwriter years ago because I have written fiction novels, and so I have the ability to make stuff up. And I didn't need to make stuff up for his, what?
Tell stories.
Right, I know how to tell
stories. Yeah.
I had the ability to tell stories, right, in a captivating manner that's engaging. So this book, as well as Roy Roberts, who was a global executive for General Motors, and his book is called My American Success Story. Both of these books were very similar in that they start with the parents' and grandparents' story history. Now, they're not here anymore, so I couldn't interview them. I had to tell their stories by doing research and interviewing family members and learning about life back at the turn of the century and before in the South for Black families. So what I had to do was tell those stories without having been there, without having interviewed anybody who lived at that time. And so I drew in my fictional writing skills using the facts of what I had learned through the research and interviews and tied it together. And I have to say, writing those scenes, like when Steve is a little boy at the dining room table, family was very poor. They held church at their table sometimes, and he describes it in here, because people didn't go to church every Sunday. It was just too far. And I make you feel like you're there when you're reading it. So I recreated those scenes. So Catherine and I have the ability to do that. And with Roy Roberts' story in his book, it describes how his father at age 13 literally walked from Arkansas, where the climate racially was extremely harsh. He walked to Texas to get hired at the Standard Oil Company at age 13. I mean, really? And so I recreated that experience, and then from the family lore, the stories that have been told over and over through oral history, he told me that, and I was able to embellish it. based on what was occurring in that particular town during that historical period. And it's really fun for me as a writer to do that, to have that really like juicy content to weave together and tell a really engaging story. So I love it. And that's my gift that I share, my ability to serve as a literary chameleon where I can take on the voice of the person that I'm writing for and make it sound like they wrote the book. So that's the gift that I share with the world through my talent of ghostwriting.
And another thing that we run into is academic writing, an amazing story of survival, but told in a very academic way. Do you want to talk about that, Elizabeth?
Yes, so Herman, I'm sure he won't mind me sharing this. Herman's book, everybody told him, "Oh my God, you died and you're here, you have to tell us your story, you have to write a book." So over the years, he wrote his story out, and he's a brilliant man, hospital executive, went to Harvard, Boston University, super smart. But what he wrote of his own story was really academic sounding and not engaging. In fact, boring. It was just flat. That's a play on words, flat line. So anyway, it was just, it was boring, and he knew it. And so it turned into sort of a hybrid ghostwriting project because he provided the initial story in his words, and then I took it and jazzed it up. I had some electricity. I made the words just jump up off these pages and dance. And that's the goal. Think about writing in this world where everything is streaming, dinging, pinging, streaming with music and pictures and video. So how easy is it to sit at your computer or look on your phone and have it entertain you, and all you do is sit there and watch? Whereas when you write something that you want people to read, it's this. It's white paper with black words, it's flat, and you have to do the work of concentrating, reading, processing, following it, paying attention. And so we live in a really
It has to be
Twitterized.
engaging.
It
It has
does.
to be engaging.
So you have to begin with a bang. You can't say, "Oh, I was born on January 5th, 1945." Everybody's born, and no one cares about your birthday unless you were born on December 25th in a manger. Then people care. So don't start with your birthday. Start with a bang. Tell us something crazy, wild, that's going to be like, "What?" And we're going to like read the first page and just say, "Oh my God, what happens next?" And you just keep going. So that's how I wrote this book. You have to start in an engaging manner that is going to grab someone by the collar and make them keep reading. So the
And
only
actually, that's our. Go ahead.
Well, you want the only criticism of your book to be that someone was mad because they stayed up so late and because they couldn't stop reading your book and they had to get up early to go to work the next day. But one of my novels, Dark Secret, this lady told me that she was so into the book that she was at work reading it, walking down the hall and like bumping into walls because she was just walking and reading. And another dear family friend said she was on an airplane that landed when she was reading Dark Secret. And she said the flight attendants kept saying, ma'am, it's time to get off the plane. And she kept reading the book. She said, "Wait, just a second, I have to finish this scene." So that's what you want people to feel when they're reading your book, that it's engaging. You've captured their attention. It's an escape. Think of that awesome feeling when you're sitting in a big cozy chair reading a book and you're just totally immersed and time just stands still and you're just lost in the story and loving it. That's what you want to convey and create for your readers. You can do it, but if you can't do it, we can help you. So that's the beauty of if you decide to contribute to our anthologies and you need a little assistance, we can provide that. And if you have a book that you've written and you're ready to publish with us, we can also help you polish it if that's necessary. We've done that with several books that were really, really good, but they needed that extra shine. And so just we work our magic and then it starts to sparkle and then it's ready to be shared with the whole world.
Hmm. So another book that we just recently published is Al Allen, We're Standing By. Do you have that book handy, Elizabeth?
That book is so popular that I don't have any copies right now. It's really popular. It's very, I mean, I was at a book signing recently for him and they sold out. It was awesome.
That's great. Can you give a
Yeah.
little history on his book? That'd be great.
Yes. Okay. So the message with Al Allen's memoir is do your
Who
own.
is it? If you can tell people who Al Allen is, please.
Okay, I will. If you live in Metro Detroit, Al Allen is a legend. You'll know who he is because he's been on Fox 2 News morning show for a long time. He retired, but people still remember him and love Al Allen. What he was known for, even though he had a career in broadcast for 50 years that started in Little Rock, Arkansas, 50 years as a pioneer, hardworking, total old school journalism integrity, great storyteller, always using the rules of integrity in journalism. Um, but what he was known for in the end was standing in snowstorms, reporting the weather on the morning show. So what's the first thing you want to know in the morning when you're watching the news? You're getting ready for work, you're getting your kids ready for school. Is it snowing? Is it cold? Is it raining? Is the sun shining? So Al was always out in the elements before dawn, like on some overpass with the wind blowing and the snow in his face. And
He has
so
a great sense of humor.
yeah, he's hilarious. So that's how people know and love Al, on top of his excellent journalism for hard news stories, um, covering Rosa Parks' funeral procession and historic things that occurred in Detroit and Washington. And so, so the cover of the book has a picture of him out reporting, and his nose is kind of pink because it's cold out. And so he named it We're Standing By. His title of his book is We're Standing By because that's what you say to your producer. We're ready to rock and roll on live TV. We're standing by. And so he said that so many times in his career, he named his book that. But secondly, he wrote it not in the traditional memoir format of some of the books we've done where it just is a chronology of someone's life. He wrote it in like stories, like broadcast news style stories. They're short. Some of them are in all caps, like TV scripts are written in all caps. He has little snippets called sound bites that are like really funny, witty little things that happened. And a lot of people read his book and said, we want more. In fact, if you go on Amazon, I think there's a review that says, I want more, because it's a short.
The criticism was that it was too short.
Yeah. People wanted to learn more about his very significant life and contribution to journalism. And so, he really helped open doors for people of color, mentoring students who are now producers at major TV stations. So his book chronicles all that, but it's short. And the bottom line was Al said, no, this is my book. This is the way I wrote my book. If I decide to write another book to tell more stories, okay. But for now, this is what I wrote. And so that's a lesson to everybody, to do your book your way. And that's the beauty when you publish with us, Adkins and Greenspan Writing, because we let you do your book your way, as long as it's, moral and has integrity and inspiring. So I love that. I love that message. And similarly, our mother's book um, conveys the same message because this is her cover. This is the cover she wanted. This is her picture as a judge of, she was chief judge of 36th District Court in Detroit. So this is her picture. This is her baby picture. It's called the Triumph of Rosemary because she was a foster child. She was a baby rejected by the Italian side of her family because she's half black. And so this is her first picture in life. She was 6 months old because she was in foster care up until she was adopted by a black family. Then she created a huge scandal in 1966 with my father, our father, who was a Roman Catholic priest, wanted a family, left the church in 65, and married our mother in 66. He was 44, she was 19, that's 25 years difference. He was white, she was black. It was a scandal, and the bishop told them they're going to hell. So she wanted Daddy's picture on the cover in his Roman collar as a priest. And then, bam, family photo. Priests aren't allowed to marry. It's against the church rules. They take a vow of celibacy and poverty to stay and live in the church and devote their life to Mother Church. So that's the point, in case you're not familiar with the rules of Catholicism. So then here's the family picture. Marilyn, Tom, Elizabeth, and Catherine were a year apart, a year and 6 days apart, and they had people said their marriage wouldn't last 24 years, but it lasted, people said their marriage wouldn't last 24 hours, and it lasted 24 years until our father died. So, and he was the wind beneath her wings that enabled her to go to law school when we were little, and then she became a assistant attorney general, then she became a magistrate, then she became a judge, then chief judge for 12 whole years, which is longer than anybody's ever served as chief judge. So, amazing story. The bottom line is some people said, oh, you should change your cover. You should only have one picture there. And she has a whole other picture of our family during our high school years on the back. But she said, no, this is my book cover. And Catherine was in the bank once, and she had this sort of under her arm. And the teller was like, is that a priest? And she's like, yeah, that's my father. And so that unto itself is shocking. So the cover was intriguing to this complete stranger. So the bottom line here is do your thing your way. Do what you want. It's your book. And so
and that brings us back. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that just brings us back to what we started with about the big five, is that everybody, well, there's this perception that that is like the best way to go, but can you talk about some of the downsides to that?
So yes, and the big five are the top 5 big publishing companies in New York City. First of all, you need a literary agent in order to submit a manuscript. They do not accept unsolicited manuscripts. I remember once I was at a publishing house in New York and I saw this room and it was full of manuscripts, like big stacks of paper with rubber bands around them, like on both directions. So it's like a brick of paper. This room, I'm telling you, was full of those. And I said, what is that? Oh, unsolicited manuscripts. What are you going to do with them? Throw them away. So you spend all this time. I mean, it's very competitive. Everybody wants a book deal.
That would be devastating.
It would be devastating.
Yes.
But it's the reality of it. Just so many people want to get a book deal. And so you need a literary agent because to the editors, that's their filter. That's like you've been vetted. You've been approved by this agent to say your manuscript is worthy of being considered by this editor who's very busy. So you, first of all, have to secure the right agent who believes in your product, even when you're going to get lots of rejection letters. You want somebody who gets you, who's going to stand by your side and advocate for you to get the best deal, the best marketing plan, the most money, the best book deal.
I
And
have a
so,
question. How do you find an agent? How do you find that ideal person?
well, one really good way is to go to writers' conferences that sometimes have appointments you can have with agents so that you can connect in person. Um,
Hmm.
I think that's really great so you can get a feel for that person. Um, you can also go online and look up agents that represent the type of work you're doing. When I was first starting off, I wanted to be a romance writer, so I would go to Romance Writers of America conferences, and they had events where you could meet agents who
Mm-hmm.
specialized in romance writing. So you need an agent who represents the type of work that you do, whether that's children's books, memoir, nonfiction health books, whatever you do, you need the agent to be have relationships with editors who acquire those types of books. So each agent has different submission guidelines, and so you have to follow those. And then typically you don't pay an agent, they get paid when you get paid. So they typically get 15% of whatever they get for you. So say, for example, it's a $200,000 book deal. They get 15% of that, of the advance, of the royalties, and whatever else is
So,
generated.
so then I guess there are a couple of things with a big publisher. One is you may not keep your copy. You may or you may not have to give up your copyright. They might buy it from you. Is that right?
Right, they're purchasing the right to publish your book, so they then own it.
Hmm.
The one good thing is the contracts that I had, I maintained my movie rights, my film rights. So were I to
Hmm.
sell the film rights to any of those books, the publisher wasn't entitled to those proceeds.
Hmm.
However, any any film deal based on a book would generate more book sales, so it's advantageous to them.
So what
Another,
about, go ahead.
well, the timeline, when you get a book deal with a big publisher, it could be years before your book is published because there's a whole long process of generating a contract, the editing process. They probably want major changes on your manuscript. Um, they have a catalog and a publishing schedule to follow, and they're going to place you far in the future to where you fit. With my first book deal, I got the contract. It was Thanksgiving of '95, and then the book was actually published in spring of '98. So that's 2.5 years. And in the interim, there was sort of a delay. They said, "Oh, we had to move your book up on the or farther away on the schedule due to whatever circumstances." So I had to wait 2.5 years for my book to be published, and I had been working on it since '93. So that's 5 years. That's a long time. Whereas we can publish your book in 90 days. So it's all about what you want because if a big publisher backs your book and gives you an amazing marketing plan and plugs you into all the major media, like the Today Show and everything like that, you're hooked up. That's awesome. But typically, people who get that kind of package are already very well established, or they have something so extraordinary to tell in their story that everybody wants to know about. Like they were the focal point of some national or international news story, or they did something super extraordinary. But the average person with a book does not fit into that highly
What
coveted
about
spot.
What about like your consider like if your alma mater has a press, a university press, could that be faster? Mm.
Oh, that's a great question. And so there are benefits to doing that because if you, say, for example, went to Wayne State University, um, if they could help promote your book and maybe help your book become a textbook in college and university courses. However, there's still sort of a 2-year window because they, again, have this backlog of cataloged items that they have to put in to promote for future. So it can be 2 years as well. If you don't mind the time delay, then it's good. And it's that endorsement from your university press is very advantageous. So if you have that opportunity, I'd say go for it. One difference as well, if you go with one of the big five, for example, versus if you were to publish with us, is that a publisher like Simon & Schuster or Random House is going to purchase the rights to publish your book. Therefore, they're going to pay you. They could pay you $10,000 or they could pay you $10 million. It just depends who you are and what you're offering and how much they believe in you and how much of a, quote, platform you have. The platform means that you're well known and that you have established relationships with organizations and places and people where you, once you release the book, it's automatically going to sell. So say, for example, you're a national speaker and your book comes out and you're used to doing speaking engagements with 1,000 or 5,000 people. Well, that makes it easy for you to sell a lot of books, and publishers find that very attractive. But if you don't have the platform, which means basically a machine that you can plug into to sell your book once it's ready, that's not so attractive. So the difference is if you go with one of the big publishers, or they go with you actually, and they purchase your book, they're going to pay you. Whereas when you take matters into your own hands, you have all the power to publish with us. You pay us to provide that service. However, the way you can make your money back is to sell books in person at events. So say, for example, your manufacturing cost to make this book is, say, just as an example, $5 per book. And then you sell it for $25 a copy. That's $20 in your pocket in that moment of selling it at your book signing or at your speaking event. So that's pretty significant if you can generate a lot of sales at in-person events, especially speaking events. Selling your book on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com does make it accessible around the world, but they take significant cuts of the book, and you do get some royalties, but the way to generate the most income with your book sales is to sell it the way I just described. So it just depends.
Elizabeth, we only have a couple of minutes left. Do you want
Okay.
to say do you want to say something quickly about our our book coaches services?
Yes, this is huge. So Catherine and I have met so many writers who say, I don't have discipline. I've been working on my book for 15 years. I just procrastinate. Or I sit down to write and I don't know where to start. I'm so confused. And so we are book coaches. So just like if you go to the gym and work out with a fitness coach or trainer who can tell you what to do and keep you on track and motivated and disciplined to stick with your program so you see results, we're book coaches. And we love it because we both taught on the college and university level English and writing. And so we love to coach people because it, first of all, makes them accountable. If they're just on their own, they're just never going to get it done. It instills in them a sense of discipline because they have to report to us either every week or every month, whatever. We have a variety of packages on AtkinsGreenspan.com where you can get whatever works for you. And third, something magical occurs. It's this creative synergy that occurs when you're working with someone else on a creative endeavor. And so when we're working with our coaching clients, this magical, brilliant genius energy like happens. It sparks like electricity between us. And we do people, our clients are all over the country, so we do a lot of video conference calls. And you can literally like almost hear it crackling, these ideas that come out of nowhere. But it's like instead of having one brain trying to write the book and figure things out and how to do the outline and what content to include and not include, it's like you have two brains. So it's not one light bulb trying to light the room, it's two light bulbs or three light bulbs trying to light the room, and it's just brilliant. It's amazing. So that, I would say, in addition to the accountability and the discipline and actually getting the book done, the creativity that surges up. In fact, when we were interviewing Cedric King for his book, The Making Point, that's coming out, he wasn't a coaching client, he was a ghostwriting client. His book is so amazing, coming soon. But we were always all blown away how he would come up with these brilliant metaphors for what he was describing as the lesson in the book while we were interviewing him. So it's awesome. It's so fun. It's so fulfilling. It's so exciting. It's work, but it's rewarding beyond anything that dollars can measure.
And another, on our website, atkinsgreenspan.com, we also customize packages for people because one thing we know is that no two writers or people with a story are the same or have the same needs. So if you see something on there that looks a little too much or too little, you can always just contact us or post something here on Facebook for us, and we'll be glad to answer any questions. So thank you for joining us today. What?
So we're just really, really excited, and sometimes the idea of writing and publishing can be intimidating and scary, but we're here on this grand mission to help showcase your stories. So we want to help you do that because the process of writing and publishing books and sharing them with people and then hearing their feedback is so magical, so healing, so inspiring. We want you to experience that, and we're here to help you. So please check us out at twosisterswriting.com and atkinsgreenspan.com. Email us, give us a comment here, ask any question, and we can also set up a free consultation if you have any questions or if you want to get started. And also go to submittable.com, right, Catherine, for the anthology. If you want to submit a story to one of our awesome new inspiring anthologies.
Thank you so much. We will have another webinar soon. Stay tuned for an announcement.
Next Wednesday, right?
Yeah, next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday at noon, we're going to be talking about this again. So any questions you have, let us know so we can be prepared to answer them in great detail. Thank you, and happy writing.
Thank you. Happy writing.